It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Today I want to talk Jay-Z and his 444 tour. Today is November 1st, 2017, and as I'm making this video, there's been a lot of talk in the last day or so about Jay and his lack of sales at some of these venues here in smaller markets and out on the West Coast. And there's also talk about low prices being seen on StubHub and other secondary marketplaces for certain seats in certain regions of the venue that is causing heads to turn, especially for someone like Jay. Now, what I'll start off this video by saying is we have to give Jay credit, because when we're talking about 2017, and Jay really has been grinding in hip-hop since the late 80s, if you really check your history, and through the early 90s, and Reasonable Doubt comes out in 96, we have to give him credit for being able to sell out arenas this long. Now, certain rock artists, they will sell out venues until they pass. R.I.P. Tom Petty. Look at the Dead and Company as far as the Grateful Dead. Look at the Stones whenever they decided to tour the Who. But in hip-hop, it is much harder, and a lot of old hip-hop acts don't get the respect that rock artists pass down to their kids. You don't disrespect the Stones, you don't disrespect the Beatles, you don't disrespect any old act in classic rock, as long as they're talented, because there are some non-talented people that fell off, one-hit wonders. But you don't disrespect the gods of classic rock, of even pop in some instances, and even some of the sort of jam bandish roots from Grateful Dead on. You respect all of those bands. In hip-hop, kids say, man, Nas is whack, Jay-Z is whack, this rapper is whack, KRS-One is whack, and there's no respect for the elders. And it's not necessarily anyone's specific fault, but that's just how it is. Hip-hop is all about the youngest, the next, the latest, and greatest. So because of that, Nas can't sell out arenas outside of the tri-state area. You look at even Snoop. Snoop came to my school, and Nas actually came to my school in Connecticut in a small gym, about 1,700 people. So they were doing very small venues compared to their heyday. That's just how it is with hip-hop. Many people can't maintain selling out arenas. So we got to give Jay credit for that. And now we want to talk about why this is happening. Well, first off, tickets are too expensive, Jay. I salute your hustle. I salute that you're trying to get bread for your company. I salute that you're doing things without backing of certain larger powers that be, and you're trying to start stuff with your own businesses and your own companies. But the tickets are too expensive. And that's really what's hurting venues like the Honda Center in Anaheim that had the show already. People weren't turning out as much because the tickets were too expensive. And when you get the smaller venues like Phoenix, Arizona, where yes, Phoenix has a large population of people, but there's not many Jay fans, there's a lot of empty seats you can buy for face value right now. There's a lot of seats you can buy on StubHub for reduced value because, again, they overpriced this tour. So that was a mistake that I think the box office and Jay made, and especially with some of these premium seats. Yes, they made a killing off a lot of these nice front row seats will always sell out for Jay. But there's some seats in rows 10, 11, 12 and some of these venues like Phoenix that aren't selling out, and even a little bit into the lower 100s, a lot of seats. That's why Sacramento's show was canceled, because of lack of sales. Thousands upon thousands of seats didn't even get bought by scalpers. Scalpers like, nah, we out of here. We ain't even buying up this market. So that was a mistake. And what that did is that's why you're seeing $9 tickets, because some of the venues that scalpers did buy tickets, so they definitely hit up Anaheim right outside of LA. The upper level seats in the last couple rows are what are $9. You're not getting a mid-level seat for $9 for that show that passed in Anaheim. Those were the worst of the worst seats. I did some research right before the show to see these ticket prices, and those were the worst seats. So don't get that confused that, oh, Jay tickets are going for $9. No, the worst seats are. And people aren't buying those seats even at $9 because parking is like $20, $30. And then you got to sit in traffic. And then if you want food at the venue, you got to pay all this money. So people aren't paying to sit in the nosebleeds, even if it is $9, because there's hidden costs there with parking and traffic and food and things like that. especially in a market where it's not Brooklyn, New York. It's Anaheim, California. You got nice weather. You got the Dodgers playing all these games. So people are skipping out on it. Now, the scalpers, let's talk about them. The scalpers fool you on the on sale, and a lot of times in situations like this, you start to see these low prices in smaller markets. Those big markets still going to be high, still going to be a lot of money, but in smaller markets, you're going to see these $10 tickets, these $60 tickets for decent, halfway decent seats that were once $150 or $100. That's what's going to happen when the demand is lower than what was projected, and then there's this false sense of, oh, we sold all these tickets to people trying to flip, but now we're going to have empty seats because these flippers and scalpers can't sell them. So we have to keep that in mind. That's how the secondary ticket marketplace works, is people will just buy based on the hope that others will pay a big price for it, and they didn't, at least for the bad seats. The good seats, especially if you went to Anaheim or even some of these other shows, you're still going to have to pay around face value, sometimes even more, to get a nice, decent seat, even from a scalper. They're not going to give them away that easy. But what I want to do is I want to talk about the positive outcomes of all this talk about, oh, Jay's not selling out like he used to. One of the positives is this is why I believe in the secondary market. I know it gets a bad rap. I know people want to talk about scalpers buying up seats, and many times it sucks. Football games in New England, here for Foxborough, you can't find a ticket for a preseason game that's decently priced, let alone a regular season. A lot of, like, Madison Square Garden, anything, ridiculous. But the secondary market does work for baseball, for other concerts. We saw this with One Direction, where tickets were extremely low. Not that I'm a diehard fan, but I just noticed that trend a couple years ago. They're doing stadiums. You can get $30 tickets at Lincoln Financial Field for one of the lower level seats. So, and that was right before the show, or 2 days before the show. This is when the secondary market even works for One Direction, for Jay-Z, and even some other artists, where you can see tickets go real low. Even for some J. Cole shows I saw, and I love J. Cole, but some of the shows, last minute, people were trying to flip tickets or lower the price on the secondary, and you get a nice seat. And that's because, again, all these brokers buy up the market, and you know what? You win some and you lose some. And for fans, you can win some when they overestimate the market and they have to lower their prices. The other thing is, this is also great because it beats the alternative. If you guys look at Bruno Mars, his tour is ridiculous. The seats that are $9 in Anaheim for Jay-Z, those seats are $150 to see Bruno Mars in Anaheim. And this is a great thing because it gives access. So some people will buy these $10 seats. Some families that couldn't afford to take their kids to a concert, couldn't take their friend to a concert for their birthday, will now go and see Jay-Z at some of these smaller markets. They'll buy those $9 and $10 tickets, and you know what? You're up in the rafters, but you're still there. You're with someone, your boy, you're with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or what have you. You're with your kids. You take them out. Hey, let me show you about Jay-Z, man. Like, let me show you. And then they get to experience it even in the rafters. So that's the positive of this. And we always look at the negative. Oh, Jay fell off, or Jay this, Jay that. But the positive is, this is how us consumers win, because the scalpers overshot that what it was going to be as far as the demand. The box office now has to fight against secondary, and now they have to realize, you know what, next Jay-Z tour, we're going to have to lower those prices. We may have to even cut some shows, but we have to lower the prices. And I talked earlier about how in the Northeast and other parts, it's hard to find good tickets for a Jay-Z show. Well, I'm looking right now on my computer screen, Nassau Coliseum, the new Coliseum, as they call it. Well, that venue still has seats. That's unheard of for Jay-Z to have. I'm looking at the map right now, and I can see a dozen of seats in a couple different mid-level sections for face value. Now, the face value is still ridiculous in my opinion, but you know what? I may go ahead and take a look at Boston or showing here at the Nassau Coliseum, and maybe go to one of those shows and get a mid-level seat, because you know what? It's face value. It's not over face value. Like when I went to see Jay in Connecticut here at Mohegan Sun, I think I paid a little bit over face value, maybe $5 or $10. But now I can get them at face and maybe below face if I keep holding off and seeing what scalpers are gonna do. So that is the benefit of this situation where people are trying to say J fell off. Is what, the pricing is gonna go down in the secondary. It's gonna change it so that for future tours you're gonna maybe get a better ticket price to see Jay if you want to continue to still see him after this tour. And consumers win because we get lower prices, which is a great thing. We shouldn't be making fun of Jay. We should be taking advantage of these deals. So definitely comment, like, and subscribe. And let me know if you guys are planning to go to any shows, when you bought your tickets, or when you plan to bite the bullet and get the tickets. When are you going to do that between now and your nearest show? But thank you guys for watching. Other than that, I'm out.